Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks Ball. Excited to welcome Anshul of the Shah Show. Just typing out that we are live here on Twitter to do my retweet of the show. But Anshul, you can find him at the Shah Show on Twitter, also at the Shah Show on YouTube, and the link to his YouTube channel is in the description of the show. It's all in the banner down below as well. But Anshul, happy Tuesday. Happy cut down day. Are you happy so far with what we're seeing? Any surprises for you?
So far no surprises, but I don't think it's a happy day because obviously some players do end up getting cut, and so then they don't end up having a job. And I know that there's obviously the 16-man practice squad. Well, the Niners get to have 17 with Alfredo Gutierrez, who does not count towards that number. But anyways, yeah, it's just so far nothing crazy in terms of who's gotten cut. Kind of the expected people, but the Niners obviously, like always, are very last minute. Like you don't really hear them making these cuts like right when you wake up in the morning. I mean, they just kind of started today, cutting down more guys. So
Yeah, no doubt about it. I saw Tay Martin had been cut, and then backstage you were telling me the Quantrez Knight had been cut. Yeah, Tay Martin didn't really surprise me. I really think the guys that might make the roster at wide receiver, I thought Chris Conley had a great camp and a good preseason. Obviously, Bell the Bull, Ronnie Bell, I think is pretty much a shoe-in to make it. But if we carry a sixth spot, I was thinking it could be Conley, it could be Willie Snead has played really well, and then Danny Gray I don't think has played as well and has been injured, but he does have that third round draft tender that the draft capital that we spent that tends to make teams err on the side of caution before casting someone like that aside. I guess with Danny Gray though, like, I mean, it seems like he was a Trey Lance weapon, right? I mean, he's a deep threat,
yep.
and like with Jimmy and Purdy, that kind of usage is just never going to be there enough to justify their existence, in my opinion. So I'd be worried if I was Danny Gray. I guess I would just say, even though he was a third round draft pick.
Yeah, some people have had him actually cut, but like that's the thing. I don't even know if you can say that third round draft status because, like you just said, we traded a guy in Trey Lance, who I know it's a quarterback position, so I would think that they maybe give him a bit more time, but they obviously didn't. So honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Danny Gray's gone too, just because he hasn't stayed healthy too. I feel like it's a very similar situation, and yeah, how are they gonna be using him now because they don't have a quarterback that can throw that deep ball. So gonna be interesting. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he gets cut, but I actually have a question for you, Ted. Do you think that the 49ers end up trading any linebackers? Because I mean that spot is very deep, and they're not gonna be able to keep everyone.
No, they're not. Seems like that time is probably come and gone. I mean, they got about 10 minutes left here. I mean, I'm sure there are things where they could arrange it, and we might not hear about it till a few minutes after 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. But definitely we're up against it now. So any trades, they better be in the 11th hour or the 23rd hour out of 24, whatever you want to call it, because time is running short on all that. Real quick, let's call out some of the folks in the audience. Got a good participation so far already. Donald Johnson in the house saying hello. Carcast saying yo. Carcast has his own YouTube channel too, so make sure you check that out. Lee Gowland, aka El Presidente, the one who sent me this lovely Niners Faithful UK flag. He was also the one who announced the Samuel Womack draft pick. So he's gutted about Quantrez Knight being waived. Quantrez was kind of a fan favorite. Out of UCLA, could play nickel, could play boundary, could play safety. He'll probably end up on the practice squad though, Lee. I don't think there's probably a lot of teams itching for Quantrez Knight. He hasn't shown a ton to other teams that I'm aware of. So we'll see. Fingers crossed on that. Fernando's throwback in the house, giving us a wave. Thanks,
A
Fernando.
throwback.
Yeah, we got Randy Daytona in the house saying faithful. It looks like a drop of blood, maybe. Yeah, we'll see. There's going to be some bloodletting today on the roster. So yeah, I think that's probably what that stands for. Wouldn't surprise me if DFF gets traded. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. DFF, D Winters. I don't know. I guess D Winters probably hasn't put enough tape out there to be known.
Yeah, I
Uh,
feel like the rookies probably are gonna make this. I think if they do,
Jalen Graham and D Winters.
yeah, if they
Okay.
do, maybe DFF, which I don't know if you guys know, but I he's the only Arizona guy on this team, and I go to school in Arizona, so
Ah,
I'd be little hurt if he end up not making it. But I will say I actually do not have it making the roster because it was just so tough to think about. That they couldn't get rid of the rookies, so.
what about McCrary Ball? Do you have him making the roster, Anshul?
No, I actually think that they could still keep him on the practice squad just because we didn't
He
see
hasn't
too
shown
much
much.
from him this year, and
Yeah.
maybe the Niners are kind of trying to hide that a little bit because the Niners tend to do that. Um, so if
Yeah.
like I think even a guy like Brandon Allen, who I personally think they're gonna keep three quarterbacks, but if they do, maybe they're trying to hide him. Um, but if they do end up losing him and he doesn't make the team, there's plenty of guys that have been released.
Watson waived. I'm not super surprised to see that. I had a
Yeah.
feeling it would be Pryor and Jalen Moore as our swing tackles. Another guy who just hasn't shown that much, who could we probably get to the practice squad. We'll see. Donald Johnson said kickers dropping like flies. Yeah, the kicker carousel is spinning fast right now. There's trades and cuts and all kinds of stuff going on. Yet the Niners still haven't found our kicker for week one. Slade Fungi, he's a Rams fan, but he's pretty cool. Usually has some pretty good dad jokes too. So hit us with some of those when you get a minute, silly. Um, let's see here. Randy Daytona says, yeah, a lot of linebackers on this team. Yeah, that's probably our most tradable position, if not wide receiver. But I know that our wide receivers, the depth is good enough that anyone would trade for them, but the linebackers definitely are. Per Matt Barrows. What's per Matt Barrows?
Oh, he was talking about how Leroy Watson
Oh,
was
Leroy
waived.
Watson. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Randy, a lot of LBs, no kickers. Yeah, no doubt. Leroy Watson waived. Yeah, I'm a little sad to hear that. I mean, he played kind of well early in camp, and then started to show some warts later on. But he's a converted tight end from UTSA, a road runner, just like Burford, our right guard. But Watson was a tight end who ate his way into being a tackle, essentially. Um, and Randy says, I'm ready for the NFL to drop field goals and extra points. Oh, wow. Wouldn't that be crazy? I hope they don't do that. I'm old school. I'm just old. What am I kidding? Old school is like if you're young and act old. I'm just plain old. But, I'm a kind of a purist. Every time they take away something in special teams, it bothers me for sure, even though, I'm not really one of those kickers or people too. I don't love kickers, but I definitely would miss them if they were gone. Totally unnecessary, he says. All right. Well, everybody has their own opinion. Punter go for two. Kicks are boring as heck.
Yeah. There's actually one guy though I'm definitely watching out of the roster cuts, and he hasn't been cut yet. Is Il Manning, who I thought
Yeah.
did really really well during the preseason, and especially
Yeah.
with at least us fans with the question marks of how this offensive line looked. It did look better in the third game, but especially in that first game and somewhat in the second game just didn't look all that great. With Il Manning, I feel like was a clear guy, and just you got to have depth on
Yeah.
the
Out of
offensive
Hawaii.
line.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not Pryor and Jalen Moore, then yeah, El Manning would be probably a good pick for a swing tackle. Since Leroy Watson is gone. That'll be interesting to see. Lee Gallen says D'Amico Ryans knows what they can do. He means the linebackers.
Yep.
So watch the Texans to come sniffing. That's a
The
good point.
Texans and the Titans, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, because Rand Carthon went to the Titans. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many. That's the downfall of Kyle's coaching tree being so prolific out there is there's a lot of people who know what our players can do and are going to be on the lookout for them. Those are all good points, folks. Uh, what's going on with the Bosa situation?
Who
There is some
knows?
thought that this was, at some point they decided this is a good thing to wait because it gives us a 54th roster spot. In other words, we could keep maybe Austin Bryant right now, who is probably on the bubble and probably wouldn't be able to make the 53-man roster if Bosa was on it. But then it gives us some time to sort things out and see, maybe someone gets injured or something else happens, or we trade somebody. That's actually true. You can trade people past the 53-man roster. So there could be one linebacker. It doesn't have to happen right now by 1 o'clock, which is in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It has to happen before Bosa is signed. So it does give us a little wiggle room to keep one extra player until Bosa does sign. So,
Yeah, that's a really good
but
point, Ted, because sorry to cut you off, but like a
no,
lot of
no,
a
I've been
lot of
talking a lot. Yeah.
people, I think like we were saying that a linebacker could get traded, and definitely they could just wait to put one on the roster and then move one of them, and then obviously that would also clear up a roster spot for someone else. But like you said, also Bosa's not counting towards that roster spot right now, so
And for a long time, I was cool with not signing Bosa. I'm like, he knows how to stay in shape. He probably only needs a week, a couple weeks, 3 weeks to get into game shape for week one. But the big concern for me now is McKivitz, the whole iron sharpens iron thing. And nobody's been sharpening McKivitz for TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. I don't think we have a defensive end on our roster that holds a candle to either of those two, especially TJ Watt, who is very comparable to Nick Bosa. I mean, a lot of people don't want to say that they're equals. A lot of people say that Bosa's better, but they're definitely in that same conversation for top 3 edge players in the NFL, along with Myles Garrett has to be in that conversation too, I think.
yeah.
Does anyone remember the way the XFL did kickoffs? I would trade that, what we do in a second. Yeah, I mean, feeder leagues like that, things could work their way up, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I think you're overemphasizing how much the NFL wants to actually do something like that, but you never know. I mean, it's stranger things have happened. I'll say that, Randy, for sure. Carcass saying, he switched over to your channel. Oh, that's a good reminder. Everybody who's on my channel, make sure to pop over to Anshul and give him a like and subscribe. Same thing if you're on Shah Show. Come on over to TED Talks Ball, give a like and subscribe. If you're on a browser, open up 2 tabs on your browser and watch both shows at once if you wouldn't mind. Or if you're on a phone, you can't split that. But if you have a tablet or something nearby, you can go 2 devices. Again, watch both shows at the same time. That way we get all the view hours. That's what really helps us. Once we hit our subscriber thresholds, it's all the view hours and views that generates all the revenue and everything for us. Everything we're graded on essentially on YouTube. So thanks in advance for everybody for that. Niners smash Massey in the house. He says, good day, gents.
Jason.
And I just realized the other day when you were on, I think it was on Bryant Culp's channel, that Jason has his own channel too. So everybody make sure you check out, it must be Niners Smash. So check out Niners Smash, everyone. Give him a like and subscribe. Thanks for joining. He said, I grew up during the Montana years. And I agree. I like field goals.
Ooh,
Punts.
this is an interesting one. So the Niners actually just waived Il Manning. Like I was saying, a lot of people had thought that he could make this team. So kind of interesting.
I think he'll be practice squad. I just think he
Let's
didn't
hope
show enough. I just think with the Matt Pryor and Jalen Moore were the 2 that I thought, and Feliciano. That's who the 8, and plus the starting 5. That's who I was predicting all along. Which is strange because Matt Pryor doesn't really fit the run blocking scheme, but he's more proven and harder to expose to the practice squad, I think. But yeah, it's painful. University of Hawaii, a lot of people like Dylan Manning.
Yeah, I mean, and also sometimes us fans are like, okay, this guy could make the roster. We don't think, he's gonna be able to make the practice squad. But obviously, the Niners don't know what like around the league, you know, um, feeling is for like certain players. So
Silly fungy with the dad joke here. I bought the world's worst thesaurus yesterday. Not only is it terrible, it's terrible. In other words, there's no other word for terrible. Sorry. A lot of times dad jokes aren't that funny. They're more punny, but I still get a kick out of them. Thanks, Silly Fungy. We appreciate it. Almighty Finesse, I think new audience member in the house saying was good. Better now that you're here, Almighty. Thanks for joining. And he said Fred Warner or TJ Watt. Well, TJ Watt is listed as a linebacker, but he's a linebacker in a 3-4. So he's really more of an edge player, whereas Fred is a middle linebacker. So they're really just different. TJ Watt, I mean, if you're asking me, I'm going to say TJ Watt's a better player than Fred Warner, just because I think edge has more value than middle linebacker. But Fred's the best middle linebacker in the league, and TJ Watt is, like I said, arguably first, second, third best edge in the league. You could, it probably just depends on what team you root for, how you place him against Bosa. I think Myles Garrett is the third. I will say that it's just Watt and Bosa, I think, are the top two. But Micah Parsons is kind of in there too, but he plays some middle linebacker, gets a little, until he's a dedicated edge. I won't say he's the best or, one of the top edges, but he definitely does a lot of good pass rushing. Micah Parsons does.
also, sorry, real quick, another
Yeah,
wave on the board. Jason Poe, I think pretty obvious, but
yeah,
I
that's,
expect him to be making this
yeah.
practice squad. So
David McNiner in the house. He has his own channel. He says LFG Niners. Do we know? Or that's F and Go Niners. Do we know who our LBs and tight ends are yet? And we don't. I mean, I was saying I thought tight ends would be Kittle, Willis, Fumagalli, and Latu, but Latu's injured, so we might be able to sneak Dwelly on there for a while. But I think eventually it'll be the two rookies, Fumagalli and Kittle. Although I guess I don't know, it's hard with Dwelly because he plays special teams and he plays fullback, so he has a lot more versatility. But his blocking has always been an issue for me.
yeah, actually, so what I have is 4 tight ends. So I have Kittle, Braden Willis, Latu, and Charlie Warner, and then I think that they hope that Ross Dwelly clears waivers and then basically put Latu on IR and then bring back Dwelly.
Yeah, Dwelly probably would clear waivers, I would imagine. Donald says, Randy, the length of the game doesn't bother me. I missed the game over right when it ends. There you go. Interesting. Got Mitch Kofsky in the house. I said, what's good, guys? Mitch runs Hardcore Sports. It's one of the channels, DM channels I'm in, and also one of the destinations I stream to. So thanks for joining, Mitch. He's an Eagles fan, so I don't know. He's pretty cool, though. He's pretty cool. But there was some talk about the Eagles getting Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. I sure hope that doesn't happen.
Apparently, though, Jordan Schultz, or here, let me actually see who it was. But I just saw a notification saying that they're not trading.
Almighty Finesse says y'all
Okay,
should
it
pick up
was
Christian Kirksey. I saw that he got. I recognize his name, but it's like one of those linebackers. I just wasn't sure how good he is, and I
Who
know
did
we're
he
so
play
stacked at
for again?
linebacker. What's that?
Who did he play for again, or get cut from?
I want to say like the Jags or the Panthers, but honestly, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Lee said Manning waved. I'm a little behind here, so let's try and catch up a little. I want football year round. I leave the room when there's a kick, a longer season, bigger rosters, higher caps, a minor league, developmental. Yeah, we definitely need a minor league and developmental league. If anything showed us that, it was this whole Trey Lance situation. He would have been a perfect player to have in a developmental league. The problem is that when they're in these, the XFL and USFL, then there's no rights. You have no rights to the players, so you like let them go, but then you don't get them back. So it's hard to do if you drafted a player or something like that. Just saying hi to McNiner. Each team gets their own minor league team where players cannot be poached. Yep, see, that's exactly what I was talking about, where you have rights to the players. That's the key. More like Major League Baseball would be kind of the way to do that. You'll have to get Bosa's deal done. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, we do. It's starting to get frustrating that we
I'm at
haven't
like
been.
a 7 right now for like worrisome with the Bosa
Well,
situation.
Kevin McCulligan had a great tweet yesterday where he was saying something along, or I don't know if it was yesterday or maybe it was Sunday, and he was saying basically like, "Oh, well, Purdy's the real deal, and you know, um, uh, Darnold is the best thrower of a football since Steve Young, and all these superlatives they threw around. It's like, well, maybe we don't need to sign Bosa if you really believe the stuff that our front office has been. If they believe their own BS, essentially, it would give you their mindset of why they're not having more urgency to sign Bosa. But hopefully the deal's already been agreed upon, and they're, like I said, just waiting for this roster stuff to settle out to just put a pen to paper. The terms have been agreed to. It just hasn't been finalized. So hopefully that's the case. That's what I'm going to keep hoping. But every day I get more and more nervous, especially as we get too much past this cut down day.
Yep.
And it's close to opening day, right? Right, your commissioner face. Randy's on a PR tour or junket.
Okay, we have some other news. Matt Barrows is reporting that 7th-round pick Jalen Graham has made the initial roster.
Yes.
So I don't
Yes.
think that was
Sorry
really
about that.
any of a surprise, but that's back-to-back years where a 7th-round picks makes it, and I'm sure Ronnie Bell will be the next one. So
Yeah, I think Ronnie Bell's a really safe bet, especially since Ray's out injured. That pretty much made Ronnie Bell. But then also just the way Ronnie Bell played, he had the most yak of anybody in the preseason. So, Randy, you're saying kind of like Major League Baseball. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what Randy's saying. Oh, yeah, DJ, more preseason games, playing all year, and having more substitutes and time off with injuries, at least, I believe. Interesting. Texans. What are the Texans? What happened?
oh, I think he was saying that linebacker that you were talking about was from the
Oh,
Texans.
Christian Kirksey. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Um, Time off that hurts the players more than it helps. Oh no, Randy, that's not true at all. Um, a key thing to training is resting, and yeah, I think the players need every time you add a week to the season, you're going to add more injuries. Um, so no, you definitely got to rest in between working out.
Yeah,
Rest and
even a
recovery.
guy.
They go together. Rest and recovery. You can't, or well, rest and recovery goes with working out. You can't just work out, steady. You burn out. Hope we don't lose Coletto. Yeah, I think Coletto will go to the practice squad. I don't think we're gonna have a roster spot for him, unfortunately.
I don't really see them putting two fullbacks in any ways. Also, a guy like Braden Willis, if he makes the roster, can actually play a little bit of fullback. So I think that the Niners will end up waiving Jack Coletto and bringing back on the practice squad.
Almighty Finesse says, "Wow, Colts not trading Taylor. Good, good. I mean, because I kind of want to see Anthony Richardson and Taylor together. I mean, that's a hell of a backfield. I would go out and buy a Sacramento Fangs jersey right now. SF49ers. So sort of like the River Cats for the Giants. The Sacramento River Cats are the Giants minor league team, or the Santa Cruz Warriors for the Golden State Warriors. Randy's calling you media. He's going back to your old title. No,
Hey,
it's the Shah
Randy,
show now.
who's media? I never heard of it.
That's yesterday's news. Yeah, but Randy, baseball is not football, bro. Come on, it's such a different sport. Like you just, how many tackles? I mean, I guess they slide and stuff, and there's some occasional brawls, but very different. Got Cinnamon Kiss in the house. Hey, what's up, Cinnamon? Welcome. And Randy says, "Stay loose." There you go, like a mongoose. Randy, players like pitchers have days off. Yeah, exactly, they do. Minus cutting Juice check, I don't see Coletto making it. Maybe next year. Yeah, we're not going to cut Juice. If we got rid of Juice, we would trade him.
Yeah.
Although I guess who's going to? Yeah, there aren't that many teams that really use
I
a
mean,
fullback.
maybe
Now.
Miami or something like one of these teams that's running the Niners system.
Yeah. Don't y'all have to pay Ayuk too? Not this year. This year is Ayuk's 4th year, and we picked up his 5th year option, so we're good till next offseason. Then we'll be in the same situation we're in with Bosa now next year with Ayuk at this time. Hopefully not this time. Hopefully we'll get it sorted.
The Patriots looks like just released Bailey Zappi. Interesting.
Zappy. Wow, that is interesting. I wonder. So who's Mac Jones's backup then? Did they draw somebody this year?
It's not Brian Hoyer because I know he's on the Raiders. Let's see.
Yeah, Hoyer's on the Raiders.
I mean, there are plenty of other quarterbacks that are out there that got waived.
Randy said we're soft today.
But,
Andy, be nice.
Malik Cunningham. That's right.
Oh, that's right. They just traded for him, didn't they?
Or no, I think they drafted him.
They drafted him? Okay.
Drafted him or signed him as an undrafted.
That's crazy because Zappi was like almost as good as Mac Jones last year, it seemed.
Yeah,
like.
and some people were like, oh, Zappi season because he looked a little bit better too. Than
got Terradome in the house. Make sure you check out his channel, folks. He's doing great stuff over there. Always interesting. The Preacher. Thanks for joining Terradome. Humans get more gelatinous every generation. I don't know about football players, man. They're pretty solid. Malik Cunningham, there you go. Yeah. My bad. I guess I haven't been paying enough attention to the preseason stuff for other teams. Why is it the 20s and 30s pitchers worked all day and they pitched every night in a row, but now we can't? Well, what speeds were they pitching, Randy? And what speeds did they pitch today? I think that's your answer. You know, they were like, hey, yeah. it was definitely not the same velocity as what they're doing today. We're not going 100 plus miles an hour back then.
Yes, we did Terradome.
Yeah, we did. Manning,
Jason Poe,
Tay Martin, and Quantrez Knight.
Yep.
No one said it's awesome.
No one's surprising yet.
There's knuckleballers who don't, but for a fastball, most of them are coming up on 100 miles an hour or more. Some of them are buck 05, buck 04. So, let's see if I see any news here. Grant Cohn said that Quantrez Knight is objectively better than Isaiah Oliver. Interesting. Keep in mind, Grant Cohn went to UCLA, so he has a soft spot for like Quantrez Knight and DTR and players.
I will say this with Isaiah Oliver, I do think I do see him making this roster, and yeah, I know he didn't look all that great, but sometimes it just takes guys a while into a new system to get going, and I think it's just I know everybody's like, yes, Steve Wilkes said he was the best free agent slot corner. I just think it might take him some time, and that they could still use him in certain like packages, like versus certain like teams, like for Seahawks they could line him up when there's Tyler Lockett and then maybe Samuel Womack against Cooper Kupp instead. So that's what I have to say about Isaiah Oliver.
Who's your source, Almighty Finesse?
Okay, well, we have another one. Jack Coletto, the fullback.
Cut.
Yep.
Yeah, not surprised. No, I mean, yeah, the tight ends are going to be interesting. The wide receivers are going to be interesting. D line's going to be interesting. See who we choose between maybe like Kalia Davis and. I mean, I think they'll try and redshirt Kalia Davis, honestly. And I think they'll go with um, Kinlaw just because we had all the draft capital and he's paid for this year, all that guaranteed money. There's just you don't save much by cutting him. Otherwise, I think they probably would.
And they're maybe trying to get something out of him on like a.
Almighty Sinnes says Tom Pelissero broke that Bosa will sit out.
But wasn't that? Didn't we already know that? Or are they talking about? Let me see.
He maybe met Zappy.
All right, looks
Also,
like Cowboys
Taylor.
just released Will Greer.
And that's someone who people thought might be better than Brandon Allen as our QB3. Problem is, they weren't there for camp. Even if they're
Yeah.
better, they might not play better. They don't know your
And
playbook.
also, he's going to be on the waivers. So the 49ers, I think, have like 29th or 30th priority.
Sounds about right. There goes Coletto. Boom.
Yep.
Almighty Finesse, was that on Twitter where Tom Pelissero said that, or was that on like NFL Network or ESPN or something?
Let me check what Tom Pelosero's.
I
Let's see
was
if it's.
checking his feed. I didn't see anything about Bosa, but that doesn't mean he didn't say it on a live show somewhere.
Yeah, he might have.
I would imagine, though, that Niners Twitter would be blowing up about that if that was the case.
Yeah. And the guy I don't see like on the initial roster will probably be Darrell Luter Jr. because I think they're just gonna have him
PUP.
still on top. Yep.
Yeah, he's the only one who's eligible for PUP.
Yeah, but also just real quick. So if the Niners also ended up like, let's say they waive Chris Conley, I believe he
Yeah.
doesn't have to go through waivers because he's a veteran. So like rookies and undrafted guys basically go through waivers, but like veterans, they're just free agents. So the 49ers, if they want to bring back, let's say, Chris Conley, like if they end up waiving him, they should be able to.
So Almighty Finesse says NFL Network for the Tom Pelissero break. My NFL Network has Seahawks Green Bay game on, so I don't know. No, I'm just messing with you. I had a feeling, but we don't know you well enough to know Almighty Finesse. So nice try. Had me going a little bit. You always wonder, is it something that's like a soundbite from somewhere, even if it's not on Twitter? But like I was saying, Twitter would be going wild if anybody saw that. So, um, how many red shirts this season? Well, um, got to see who makes the team first. But I mean, I think Latu is kind of a red shirt.
Yeah.
Got walking around town 661 in the house. I'm blanking on your first name. I'm sorry, bud. We just chatted though. I just DM'd you because you've been on the show before, and you're saying you wanted to come back on. Let's see here. Dundelio is your handle, but it's BBA Dunn, and I still don't remember what your first name was. So you'll have to tell me. Maybe it's, I want to say Brad Dunn. Let's go to free agency. Got it. Let's go to the waiver wire. Got it. Latu, Moody. Well, we think Ludo will be PUP. Moody, they're not going to cut Moody.
Yeah.
And Latu is probably going to be on the 53 before he goes to IR to make sure that nobody swipes him because he's a third round pick. Yeah, Almighty Finesse, there's a lot of people who think that Bosa is waiting to see what Chris Jones gets, and then he's going to say, okay, pay me that and more.
Yep.
Randy says no, he's waiting for the 53-man roster spot. Well, I mean, Randy, we don't know, honestly, right? None of us are there, but a lot of people think that Bosa's waiting to see what Chris Jones gets before he Mike Dunn, thank you. Word around town. I knew that. It was around Bakersfield, right? Sorry, it's been a while. It's been 6-7 months since you came on the show. It's early when I first started TED Talks Ball. Mike Dunn. There we go. Thank you, Mike. My apologies. I remember it was word around town. So it must 661. Is that Bakersfield area code, maybe? I think something like that, if I recall correctly. Blake Cunningham got cut too.
Wait, really?
Whoa. Well, they're like, don't think enough of either QB to keep him on. They obviously have some other players that they really want to make room for on the Patriots. Unless he's messing with us again.
Let me see.
Randy
Oh
thinks
no, it is there, yeah. It just got there, like it was just reported that.
Yes, sir, Ski Bakersfield. There you go. He was born in SF. Very nice.
They're probably trying to get him on the practice squad and maybe sign one of the other available.
Yeah, but it's just like ego thing with it, Randy. And the Bosas are known for it. Like we're saying, I mean, the minimum for Nick is at least more than Joey. We know that. Like, you can start there. But I think, yeah, it's got to be more than Aaron Donald. And then I think Chris Jones will be more than Aaron Donald. So then it's got to be more than Chris Jones is what I think it'll end up being. Nice. Which lot B1? That's one me and my buddy park in. So if you're there, we'll definitely have to meet up and shake hands. I'll definitely come find you. And I found out
that games this year.
I haven't finalized any, but I told my buddy Seahawks and Bengals were the two that I wanted Cowboys, but they're so expensive, and also it's right around the time when my wife is giving birth to our second son. So later in the season just seemed more likely. Also, I got an offer to go to the Bucks game, so I'll be at the Bucks game as well too. So excited!
Yeah, I actually need to buy my ticket for the Week 18 Rams game.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good one.
Because that's the only game I am able to.
Right, because you're at school. Yeah, that makes sense. Rick Diaz says, "What's up? Let's go cross country, across the world. Trumpet football is going to start." That's right, Rick. Welcome. Good to see you, bud. And Almighty Finesse says, "Just trade for Joey Bosa and Nick will be happy." Yeah, and can you imagine if you had both the Bosa brothers? Like, what an embarrassment of riches. That would be awesome. But you can't afford both those cats. Yeah. I mean, Joey's already, and Joey's. Let's face it, Joey's overpaid. Joey's overpaid for how often he's injured. I'm going to just say it. As much as I like him as a player, I don't think he's a really great deal for a team that, in a hard capped league. It's just you don't have to be better to be a better value. That's what I always say. So if you get somebody with a pickup truck, a couple of bucks for gas, you can just hop in. There you go. Tailgate, baby. Yeah. Tailgating's fun for sure. Not as fun at Levi's as it used to be at the Stick, but it's getting better. getting a little bit better.
Alrighty.
So
So yeah, Darrell Luter looks like
PUP.
it's just gonna be staying on the PUP list.
That's not surprising. What is surprising is it's 126. The details are still just filtering in. They're really trying to milk this for all it's worth today. Like, don't just send out a list. Like, do them one at a time. I guess you got to maximize your drama factor. Here we go. Broncos traded Albert O, and a 2025 seventh round pick to the Eagles for a 2025 sixth round pick. So they were saying that Albert O was going to be released, but the Broncos managed to trade him. So the Eagles get richer at tight end. Not only do they have Dallas Goedert, now they have Albert O. I was kind of hoping the Niners might get him, but I knew
He's
we
a
wouldn't.
linebacker. Or...
No, he's a fast tight end.
Oh, deep tight end. Okay.
Yeah, Albert Okwuegbunam. Okwuegbunam.
I wanted the Niners to trade for that defensive end from the Eagles. Barrett.
Barnett.
Barrett, yeah.
Yeah, I did, and then somebody was saying that he wasn't better than who he had, and I went to go look up his stats, and he was injured last year and 2 sacks the year before, and like 5 or 6 the year before that.
Another Chris Kasurk project, though.
Yeah, I don't know though. I think he might be over the hill actually, especially coming off an injury. So we'll see. Might not be better than Drake and Clelin Ferrell and the guys we have. Austin Bryant.
I'm surprised we haven't heard Hartsfield get waived yet because I do.
Yeah, Hartsfield's gone. Hartsfield's gone. Now the interesting one will be Jameson.
Yeah.
I think he might make it because of his corner skills and then his return skills.
Yeah.
Just since again because of Ray, you got to have some depth. I think behind that. I think you want. I was saying that Ray being out might make it so that Ronnie Bell and Jameson make the team. Deshaun Jameson. Breezy said Zakel's greater than El Manning. Does that mean Zakel made the team? I hope not. Did Zakel make it over Feliciano? That would surprise
I think
me.
Feliciano makes it, I think. Oh, I see what Breezy said. Yeah, he's just wondering.
Maybe he just meant because because they cut Manning first.
Yeah, they cut Il Manning, but Nick Zakel still. Hey, Nick Zakel was drafted, so we've seen the Niners show some loyalty,
But man, was he terrible in the preseason.
Yeah.
Especially
just with the penalties. But also the Niners are we don't want to take another L.
Wow.
Let's see anybody else.
Definitely not here.
I know the Niners always take so long.
When do you guys play? We play your Giants week 3 at Levi's. It's our home opener, Almighty Finesse. The Giants look good this year, man. They've really done a lot of good things for that team. They got Daniel Jones some weapons. They've shored up their defense quite a bit. I think they picked 10 captains. I saw that today. I was like, holy smokes, 10 team captains. That's a lot. Then I saw the list of
they already have their team captains.
Yeah, 10 of them.
Wow. Actually, speaking of that, who do you think will be the 49ers captains?
Well, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Fred Warner, CMC, Kittle.
They usually keep what, have five or
Debo.
six captains. I think the Niners, right?
I mean,
Actually,
then the borderline ones would be like Hufanga, Ayuk, um, Juice Check.
yeah. I think Kyle Juszczyk makes it.
Could be. Randy grew up watching the Giants. Oh man, little Phil Sims action. Parcells. There you go. The tuna, big tuna. Q Knight gone. Yeah, we're sad about that. Lloyd Toussaint Barnett is all-time college sack leader. He came out here with Thomas, and he's a good player. There you go. I gave up nothing for Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, they gave up like a seventh or something. Cards in tank mode. Yeah, Isaiah Simmons is a huge pickup for the Giants. No doubt.
Even John Chapman just tweeted this out. I wish teams would announce who made the roster instead of who was cut.
Yeah,
Honestly, I agree with that. Like, just say who made the roster.
it is interesting the way they're stringing it up. But, anything they can do to keep the NFL, people talking about the NFL. Somebody just said I was vindicated about sabotage. Let's see here.
A little bit of a non-Niners news, but I know obviously you're both Warriors fans. Looks like the Mavs released JaVale McGee.
Yeah, there's interesting.
Yeah, see if like NFL.com has any differences. No, it doesn't even look like they're fully updated. Hmm.
Some new posts here. They're really making us wait for each one, huh? Come on. Give us a list.
Come on, 49ers PR team. You should have. I know you probably already have the thing made.
My question is, have they given it to the league yet?
They would have. I think it's just everything comes out usually later. Especially because it's like 35 minutes past, they definitely would have.
Yeah, you would think. Bears are releasing Nathan Peterman. Big news.
Who's their backup quarterback? Because didn't they also release like somebody else too?
I don't know. We released Anthony Miller.
We did. Okay.
Yep. That's not very surprising. I don't think he did anything. That was per 49ers NFL News 24/7, but he didn't list the source.
He never does generally, so until don't see him on the roster or they announce that he's been
Yeah.
released, say anything about it yet.
So Barrows is saying that Coletto, we're trying to get in the practice squad, but the Jets, Dolphins, Seahawks, Broncos, and Chiefs were all gunning for him at the end of the draft. So you can assume that Coletto's gone, I think.
Matt Barrows, you said? Okay.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, Jack Coletto.
I know fans are going to be so mad.
Yeah, he is good. It's a shame. Bills replacing Matt Barkley on IR. So Kyle Allen will be backing up Josh Allen. They just need Brandon Allen. They could have Allen, and
All right,
Allen.
let's go Brandon Allen and give them, and then they can give us a Josh Allen maybe.
Yeah, right. There you go. Really dying to part ways with him. Rohan was liking Bailey Zappi. I don't know that he's any better than. Oh, I'm sure he is probably better than Brandon. Let's see what we got here. I don't know if you saw earlier, but the Eagles released Trey Sermon, so
Yep.
he's back available again.
I'm not surprised because they were looking to trade him, and I'm like, I don't. They basically did what the Niners did, last year.
Oh, he's had the best camp ever. Cut. A week later, cut.
But I think TDP at least has actually shown that he's gotten better. In the preseason games.
I didn't realize that El Manning is only 6'2".
Oh.
That's tough to play tackle at that height. Vikings are waiving Tristan Jackson, wide receiver. Ravens O tackle David Sharp. Oh, NFL Rumors says that Ronnie Bell makes the 53-man roster.
I mean, it's, I think, pretty obvious that he was gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I had no doubts, but I mean, well, you never know till you know. And I'm not even saying that NFL Rumors is a source either, but it's something.
I mean, I like to hear that those rumor pages, say that, as long as they're not actually reporting BS, which NFL rumors doesn't really do that, but sometimes I rather wait till we hear it from, Niners beat reporter.
Rams, it's 3 hours ago. Never mind.
Do you know if Fred Warner's brother's still on the Rams?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know that he ever even made the Rams, honestly.
Oh, okay. It looks like the Bucks were the last team that signed him.
Refresh. Dude, we got all these. Go through some of these comments here. Jonathan Taylor will remain a Colt, obviously. Ayuk will be a Giant. No.
You wish.
He can use a fourth round pick to pick for a water boy. Bad. Too soon for lifer. Too soon. But thanks for joining.
Just gonna see if anything.
Who's y'all wide receiver one? Debo? Yes, Debo is wide receiver one.
Okay, so
Where's
Niners.
for the Bengals game? LOL. Blue Lot One is where I go with my buddy. There's like a group of like 3 or 4 trees together by some porta potties. We're like nearby there. Third and fourth picks. Can we trade up for a first pick and twice in the second round? It's possible. It's possible to use all those picks. If somebody wants a lot of picks. Ayuk is a dime a dozen. No offense, BA, one Debo in this world. I wouldn't say Ayuk's a dime a dozen. He runs better routes. And he has better hands. So, but I do think if I had to pick one, like price aside, I would pick Debo. But I like Ayuk a lot. I just think we haven't really seen what Ayuk can do because we haven't had a deep threat QB. Can't have a deep threat without a deep threat QB. Randy still wants Jason Pierre-Paul. Wake the man up. Tell him to remove his slippers. Get out to Santa Clara. Yeah, JPP would go well, I think. Nancy Cameron says, hello, I missed the first half. Any discussion about the kicker situation? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kickers moving around, Nancy. The Niners still haven't figured out who they're going to have for week one to be the kicker, but it looks like it won't be Moody, who we drafted, or Zane Gonzalez, who we traded for. So TBD on the kickers, but it's I think Niner fans will lose their minds if we invest too much more draft capital in the kicker position to trade for somebody.
Like
so
the Jets just announced their roster.
Oh, there you go. So maybe we're not far behind. Jack of all trades is a master of none. Coletto seems to be a pretty masterful fullback, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, kicker's a huge concern to not have figured out going into week one. I guess Robbie Gould's always available, but I'm sure he doesn't want to sign for just a few games. I think he wants, a year long contract at least, if not several years. Bells up. Riala Diala show. Welcome, Riala Diala. Bells up.
Welcome.
I'm not sure what that thing is from, but we'll roll with it. James Janal coming to us from across the pond. How's it going? What's the news? Nothing too surprising yet.
No.
Nothing too surprising yet. I mean, we're just lamenting that Coletto went to the practice or we're cut him, and he probably won't make it to the practice squad. He'll probably get snapped up by another team. Ronnie Bell, we saw one source say that Ronnie Bell was officially on the team, but it's not a fully trusted source. So we're still waiting for confirmation, but we both expect Ronnie Bell to make
Okay,
the
we
team.
have some news from Matt Barrows. He says defensive lineman Kerry Hyder and Austin Bryant were cut as uh, procedural moves. The 49ers plan on signing both players to the 53-man roster tomorrow.
I don't understand.
So I think, yeah, I think because they're gonna probably put Latu on, the list, and then because Bosa doesn't count as a spot, I guess they're gonna bring those guys back. Seems like.
Weird.
Yeah.
Suriella Diella is a big fan of Ronnie Bell. I call him Bell the Bull. That's how he runs. Runs hard. Um,
Yeah, that is kind of weird, though.
Jerry Jones. He's a buster.
And yeah, the Niners are able to sign Kerry Hyder and Austin Bryant because, like I was saying earlier, because they're veterans, they don't go through the waiver claims, so they can just re-sign them.
Randy Daytona with the Holy Monty Python, the Holy Grail reference. Oh, catapulting cows out of the castle. Run away. And he says, true. Yeah, the kicker situation is a concern, but hopefully it's just temporary. But I guess that's the other thing too, is like, even if we find temporary kicker, you bring Moody back. Like, how confident are you in Moody anyway? He's been kind of duty, but he's young. Hopefully he'll figure it out. That's why you don't draft kickers high. I was saying we should have drafted Dawan Jones as a right tackle, signed Robbie Gold, and not mess with drafting a kicker. But that's just me. Jones knows exactly what they're trading for. Trey was all about a little leverage over Dak, maybe, but definitely the attention, the media buzz around Trey. Yeah, no doubt. People like to talk about Trey Lance. And now the Cowboys fans are already arguing about Trey Lance versus Dak Jones. Ryan Hensley quote tweeted something about that, and he was like, warms my heart to see Cowboys fans arguing over Trey, since we don't have to anymore. Although people still bring it up. When I talk about Brock, people still invariably bring up Trey. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to bring him up anymore unless somebody brings him up to me, unless it just comes up through something else. But trying not to have any green tweets about Trey Lance anymore. Trying to let him go.
Okay,
So
so we
Matt,
have more releases. Stuff slowly looks like coming in, so it looks like I think the roster should be announced pretty soon. But they've released Austin Bryant, Chris Conley, Troy Fumagalli, Brian Hill, Kerry Hyder Jr., T.Y. McGill, Jerry McNichols, Anthony Miller, and Willie Snead. No surprises there.
can you read it again? Willie Snead's a little bit of a surprise. I wouldn't say a surprise, but he was like on the bubble. Like, he was probably my wide receiver 7 if we keep 6.
You wanted me to
So,
read it again, right?
if you don't mind.
Okay, one sec.
Oh, here we go. I see it. Austin Bryant, Chris Conley. Chris Conley surprises me. I thought Chris Conley was our best receiver, but maybe that's it. Maybe it is Danny Gray is the receiver we keep, and not Conley or Sneed or Tay Martin. We already knew Tay Martin. Anthony Miller. Hyder surprises me.
Yeah.
Fumagalli a little bit. I thought Fumagalli was pretty good, but
I think because they think they can probably get him on the practice squad, so I don't think they're
Alex Barrett doesn't surprise me. Ishmael doesn't surprise me. Deshaun Jameson, that's one where we
that
thought might
has.
make it.
Is he on the list though?
I see one here from Rob
Oh,
Guerrero.
okay. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing that there's more that are.
Corey Luciano, Ishmael, Hartsfield, Jameson. We knew Hartsfield, right? But
Yeah.
Jameson was one I thought might make it.
Yep.
Um, interesting.
I actually surprisingly didn't have him making it just because I felt like they. I mean, I get why people thought that, but I think they. I like had Ambry and then of course Isaiah Oliver. So
And Womack
yeah, and Womack as well. So
and Luter coming off PUP eventually.
so I think the roster. I'm guessing, yeah, should be announced fairly soon.
So players on IR: Gonzalez, the kicker; Taylor
Yeah,
Hawkins, the safety; Cam Latu, the tight end; cornerback AJ Parker. But I don't think AJ Parker will make the team.
yeah.
I don't think Zane Gonzalez will either.
Honestly, I didn't even know who that was. Like AJ Park. I didn't even know he was on this team. So
He was the one who, well, AJ Parker in camp, I knew him because people would say, oh, well, Purdy's been going against the first team D. And I'm like, well, actually, most of Purdy's completions were against Ambry Thomas and AJ Parker. And Ambry had been getting cooked all through camp at that point before the Raiders game. He had literally one pass breakup before the Raiders game. And I said, Ambry and AJ Parker are closer to off the team than the first team. And luckily for Ambry, he turned it around in the Raiders game and also some in the Broncos game too. So, and some of the practices thereafter. But by the 9 camp practices I attended, those were 2 of our worst DBs. What else we got here? Here we go. Oh. Ronnie Bell has officially made the roster. According to RSF 49ers, that's someone I trust.
and there's
Okay, so
someone.
they're saying that Hyder and Bryant are to make up for Latu and Gray Danny Gray going to the IR.
Okay.
But someone could swipe them. Just because it's procedural doesn't mean that some team doesn't just swipe them up, as far as
Yeah.
I know. There's no protection on somebody who you cut.
I mean, I think also with the Zane Gonzalez, it's just unfortunate because I think that would have been a trade that the Niners would have made today.
Yeah, to trade him away. Yep.
Yeah.
I can't believe the Patriots cut all their QBs besides Mac Jones. That's Despite the Dolphins clearing salary cap space today, defensive tackle Christian Wilkins in Miami could not agree to an extension. Wilkins' team was not agreeable to the guarantee structure of the contract proposals, per source. So there's a top D lineman having trouble figuring out with the Dolphins. D. Winters has made the 53-man roster, according to 24/7 News.
Not surprised.
Nope.
You're definitely ahead of me now with the news.
Oh, we take turns. Team.
It's okay. It's not like, it's a trade or something that I'm going to get mad at.
49ers placing Cam Latu on IR.
Yep.
So his season is done. He will make his debut in 2020.
Well, right. Wait, really? Because didn't they have to wait till?
That's 49ers 24/7 saying.
Okay, looks like the 53-man roster is officially out.
We waived Alfredo Gutierrez. That's not surprising.
No.
Marcelino McCray ball waived. That's a new one. We haven't seen that. Curtis Robinson, the other linebacker.
It's funny because he made the roster.
Trace Dwelling, the DB.
Yep.
And Isaiah Winstead, the wide receiver. That's a Mayoka list from 5 minutes ago.
Yep.
Oh, I see. So Nick Weiner says the Kerry Hyder and Austin Bryant are vets who don't have to pass through waivers to return.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because the veterans, so any of the veterans they could still bring back to the practice squad.
But still, you can still poach people off the practice squad too, though.
Yeah.
That's not protection.
Yeah, it's only protection for a little bit.
Yeah. Only protection from another practice squad. That's all it's protection from. It's not protection from anyone's active roster. John Chapman is upset about MMB, Marlon Davidson, Deshaun Jameson. Should not have been cut.
Okay. So I guess now we can actually look at the roster.
So if AJ Parker's on IR, that means we're planning on bringing him back. Oh, I guess unless it's season ending like Cam Latu.
Yeah. Well, Taylor. Okay, so wait, but then Zing Gonzalez.
Michael Andrews says Braden Willis made the 53, which is not surprising.
Yeah. Though I'm a little surprised because I didn't think they would have made I didn't think Zing Gonzalez should be on there. Okay, so David Lombardi tweets out on his roster projection. He didn't have these three guys, but they did make the team. Braden Willis, Nick Zakel, and Robert Beal Jr.
Robert Beal Jr. made the roster. That's kind of
I'm
surprising.
not really surprised though, because yes, I know he didn't play at all, but do we want to bring up the
So if
50?
Zakel made it, that means Feliciano didn't, huh?
I haven't seen anything about. Oh, okay, so I guess the Niners. I thought the initial 53 was out, but I read it wrong. It was just the moves that were made. Okay, so they still haven't actually released the roster.
Conley surprised me.
So I think, let's see, out of the guys that they waived. All right, so I think they put.
Rohan said everyone in the draft class made it. Jair Brown, Moody, Cameron Latu, stashed on IR. Beal, Winters, Jalen Graham, Braden Wallace, Ronnie Bell all made it. Stashed Darrell Luter on PUP. That's crazy. I don't think that's ever happened before.
He also says 9 offensive linemen made it, including Matt Pryor, Jalen Moore, and Nick Zakel.
Okay, so who's the ninth? Is it Feliciano? It's got to be.
Probably. And then he says 5 cornerbacks is Traverse Ward, Deontay Lenore, Ambry Thomas, Isaiah Oliver, and Samuel Womack.
Yeah, that's no surprise.
That's who I basically had to.
I guess I say it's no surprise, but then I was surprised that Jameson didn't make it. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be surprised because he's not going to make it over any of them. That's for sure.
Let's see anything else. Okay, come on, Niners, just give us the 53. Yeah, I really don't. I mean, Deshaun Jameson probably is the biggest surprise to a lot of people, but I'm not really surprised by anyone else.
Okay, here we go. So Danny Gray made it. Kittle, Warner, Braden Willis, Ross Dwelly, Latu IR. Feliciano made it on the 9.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising. Hargrave, Armstead, Kinlaw, Jackson, Farrell, Beal, Givens, Kalia Davis.
So is it 6 wide receivers?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically the obvious guys. And sorry, who'd you say for tight end?
Kittle, Warner, Willis, Dwelly. And then Latu on IR.
What? So Warner didn't make it.
Warner did make it. Kittle, Warner.
Oh, okay. Kittle, Warner, Willis,
Dwelly.
Dwelly. Oh, because Latu was placed on the
season-ending IR.
Okay.
Then D-line is everybody except for Hyder and Bryant. So it's Hargrave, Armstead, Kinlaw, Drake Jackson, Farrell, Beal, Givens, Kalia Davis. So Kalia Davis, man. Which is good. Oh, yeah, Kinlaw too. Interesting. So yeah. So we're gonna end up with 10 D linemen essentially, is what we'll end up with.
Yeah, I think the only guy I had wrong was Austin Bryant.
I was kind of surprised that McCray Ball didn't make it. But Warner.
I don't know. I wasn't super surprised. Like I think if they didn't draft these guys, or like Graham and Winters, or they had only drafted one of those guys, maybe. Did DFF make it?
Yep.
Okay. that they
So,
could still trade him.
yeah, it's Nick Wagner has it up. It's a
Oh,
picture you can save the image.
oh yeah, I see it. Okay. I'm just gonna wait till they actually put out the. Wait, so okay, so they did keep Brandon Allen too. That's what I thought they would do, honestly. No.
Definitely kind of bummed about Chris Conley, but I get it. I mean, again, it's that draft capital for Danny Gray,
No.
that speed. But I just feel like this is going to be so underutilized without a deep threat QB.
I think the plan B needs to be where they end up just using him as a um like jet sweep guy, gadgety guy.
So how are you feeling about the season, Anshul?
Um, I'm worried about the backup quarterback spot. That's basically about it. So
You're not worried about right tackle
not as much, honestly. And
or O line depth? I mean,
I'm not as concerned about the O-line depth because knocking on wood, first of all, not everyone's gonna be playing together. Like we're not gonna have that whole backup offensive line out there. And it just takes time sometimes for offensive linemen to gel. So I'm not really too concerned. And Chris Forrester's been able to prove it that it's worked out fine. So I'm okay with it.
I was worried about nickel, but now that it sounds like maybe it'll be Lenore and Ambry Thomas out on the boundary, it sounds like a good solution.
Yeah.
Just hope Huff's knee is okay. That Baker cyst. A lot of times that's a symptom of meniscus damage.
It's kind of funny because I hear the Baker cyst and I've never heard of that injury.
It's a cyst on the back of your knee. It comes from knee damage internally inside the knee. So it's not an injury itself, it's a symptom of an injury, essentially. A lot of times a meniscus tear or damage.
Which is, I guess we don't really know if he has meniscus, I mean, at
They're
least the
not going to
last.
tell us until they have to. So,
Yeah,
but they said they didn't think it was a big deal. So hopefully it's not.
yeah,
I don't know. I just defensive end on the other side of Bosa worries me. Bosa worries me since he's not signed. I mean,
yeah.
hopefully it's just all in place and they're just waiting to sign it till all this roster stuff gets settled. So I guess that's the question: if Danny Gray and who was the other IR person that I mentioned? I guess it was Latu go to IR,
Yeah.
and we bring back Hyder and Bryant, but then somebody goes away when we pull up. I think it's Austin Bryant. I think that's who it is.
But Austin Bryan seems like he's going to be coming back to the roster.
Yeah, but I think it might only be till Bosa signed
Maybe.
because I don't think we're going to carry 11 D linemen. Actually, we usually do, don't we?
I could see
Usually
them cutting
carry 6 and
Hyder,
5.
though, instead.
I just feel like Hyder is so versatile. It's hard to get rid of him.
That's true.
That'd be interesting to see. Well, we've been going for a while here. Was there other stuff you wanted to talk about? Like as far as, I mean, do you have a record prediction for the season?
Yeah, I have us going 13-4 at the best.
I
I'd
had us
probably
at
say at the worst 11.
yeah, I had us at 12-5 or 11-6. I think I'm downgrading. I think I'm going to say 11-6 or 10-7.
I may downgrade if like the next few days if Bosa's still not signed, but I'm just keeping that hope a little bit.
Oh, I don't think we make the playoffs without Bosa.
Good point.
It'd be tough. Maybe. I shouldn't say that. I don't think we make top playoff spot. I'm sure he could get in at 6th or 7th without him. But he's so important. Yeah, just worry about him, Hafanga, the kickers, the end, O-line depth, running back depth behind CMC, honestly. I don't think TDP or Jordan Mason have shown that they can carry the load. Elijah Mitchell certainly can, but yet he
Hurt
can't
all the
because of
time.
injury. No.
Yep.
Concern. But I've been saying if we're too good to develop Trey Lance, that better be good enough to win it all.
Hmm.
Can't have it
Yeah,
both ways. So
now they have to show that they have to win the bowl because they clearly gave up, and of course the fan base is gonna be going after them if we don't get that number 6 this year.
I will be. I've been very public about it.
Yeah.
I think I'll be going at Kyle until that happens. Personally, I'm not going to wait to the end. I'm going to be saying it all along until he proves me wrong. So
Yeah, because I mean, there's really no more excuses. I just don't get why people like to give him a pass. Like,
because of Chip Kelly and Tom Sula, everybody's scared to death to go back to that. And it's just like they're like, "Who would you get, Ted? Who would you get to replace?" I'm like, anyone who will get us a franchise QB, because it's so clear that that's what you need nowadays to
yeah,
have sustainability and to be able to win multiple rings. You can win a ring without a franchise QB, but I don't think you can win multiple rings that way.
yeah, it's definitely different now because everybody's like, okay, defense wins championships. Defense doesn't anymore.
When's the last time defense won a championship?
It's Rule 50.
Rams, I guess, had a pretty good defense with Von Miller
Yeah,
and AD and Ramsey, but Bucks were, I think, top 3 or 4 when they beat KC, but they didn't win because their defense was so good. They won because the Chiefs' O line was so bad. They were missing their left tackle, center, and right tackle,
yeah,
and a lot of Mahomes' weapons. They had like 4 or 5 big drops, including 2 that got picked. So it's not a recipe for success. And I just don't know that Kyle. I mean, it's so clear that we don't have a franchise QB, and we've had lots of opportunities to get a franchise QB. So then it makes me wonder: does Kyle even want one? Does he want to share the spotlight with somebody? Does he want attention taken away from him and his precious system? Does he want somebody who's going to improvise, or does he just want mid robots who do what they're told? Because that's certainly what it's starting to look like.
yeah. Is there anyone that you want the Niners to claim?
Off of waivers,
Yeah.
who got cut? I haven't really been paying attention to the other teams, but I mean, O line depth,
There's that Mayfield guy from the
a kicker,
Falcons who ended up getting released.
and he's a O lineman.
Yeah, offensive tackle. He was in the
Interesting.
draft like a couple years back from Michigan,
Okay, don't know a thing about him,
though I
but yeah,
think
O line depth, running back depth.
I want them to go after another defensive end.
I would love them to get.
I'm
I would
not
love them to
sold.
get that quarterback from the Cowboys.
Oh,
But
Will Greer.
like you said, he's got to go through like 28 8 other teams first, so that's not going to happen.
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, if he's like the top
Or even Bailey Zappi. Pretty much anyone but Brandon Allen at this point.
yeah.
The only value Brandon Allen has, in my opinion, is just what he knows of the playbook from being in camp.
Mhm.
We did waste a lot of reps on him, so I guess they're not wasted if he's still on the team. But and I guess now technically we can say we wasted reps on Trey Lance because he's not on the team anymore either.
My
So
gosh, Jeremy Fowler almost scared me.
what about?
He was talking about like trades for the Bears, and then he said Gibson, and I was like, I thought he was talking about Tashawn Gibson, and I'm like, there's no way the Niners would trade.
He is actually on a list of highest interceptions list, like the active interception leaders, and he was like third or fourth on the list. I was somewhat here. NFL Rumors had this yesterday. Most interceptions by an active NFL player: Patrick Peterson, 34; Harrison Smith, 34; Gibson, 32; Marcus Peters, 32; Stephon Gilmore, 29; Tyrann Mathieu, 29; Xavier Howard, 28; Kevin Byard, 27; uh, Justin Simmons, 27; Darius Slay, 26; Casey Hayward, 25; J.C. Jackson, 25. So J.C. Jackson is probably the only young, and Casey Hayward are probably the only young ones on that list.
Yeah.
Justin Simmons isn't too old either, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway,
I know
interesting to see.
some people been talking about the cornerback the Texans let go of Desmond King, I think it was.
Oh yeah, because he's a kick returner too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I don't know why I fell for the Niners cutting Jalen Moore like I did. Like they seem to just for some reason still believe in him.
Rohan saying that the Niners must be confident that Sean Jamison will clear waivers because we only have 5 corners on the active roster, initial 53, when we would have 6. So he was surprised about Jamison too, so not just me.
Some people saw Jameson also tweet out like a cool face yesterday and were like kind of overreacting a little bit.
Ah, that's why he must have known already, huh?
Yeah.
So here, GV said keeping Zakelj over Jameson is weird as hell. I agree. I think it's just undrafted versus drafted. I think that's what it comes down
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, for Nick Zakel, I think that's what ended up letting him still be on this team.
Well, seems like we've kind of covered everything.
Yep.
Maybe good time to call it here. We're a minute 35 in. Just thank
Sounds
everybody who came
good.
by. If you're on TED Talks Ball, make sure you check out the Shah Show on YouTube and Twitter. Give Anshul a follow and a subscribe and a like. And same thing if you're on Anshul's channel. Make sure you pop over to TED Talks Ball and give me a like and subscribe too. Really helps us to keep doing what we do for you. But Anshul, thanks for doing this last minute. It was fun.
Of course.
And I'll just say peace and go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sign Nick Bosa.
Sign Nick Bosa. That's right.